Hi there, here is Karuna. Welcome back to my Armenian Duduk channel. Have you guys ever wondered why the Duduk is tuned the way it is tuned? So it is not completely a Western scale, but you have to squeeze your lips at some notes. It is not just enough to play all of the notes on the well-tuned Duduk in the same way. Why it is like that? On one note you have to relax your lips, on another note you have to squeeze your lips, so it is not completely Western scale, and some of us are just wondering why it is so and why the makers couldn't just figure it out and come to some formula where they just make a Western scale, so we don't need to remember where to squeeze lips a little bit, where to squeeze lips more, and just to avoid all of those excessive efforts. And actually, guys, we have to accept it. So we have to bear with uh, the Duduk in this way because it has some physical limitations. And now I will tell you why actually we are squeezing our lips at some points, why the Duduk has this, let's say, Armenian tune and not the completely Western scale. First of all, as you remember, so if we take just the normal 6 fingers position 3 and 3, so we are coming to the A major scale on the A duduk, or just to traditional, if we speak traditionally, this is the C major scale on any duduk, C major scale. Why do we squeeze our lips here a little bit? So if you have good hearing, you will hear that if you just play all of those notes starting from A and coming to B and then to C sharp, you will just have this feeling C sharp is a little bit flat. So and then you are coming up to the higher notes, and here on one finger we have the G sharp note, and this G sharp note you have to squeeze your lips even more. So I'm not talking about the position where all of the holes are open and you are squeezing your lips to get to the B flat or the higher B, because it's just kind of logical, yeah. But what about those notes, about these 4 fingers and 1 finger? Why it is like flatter than Western scale? If you are a duduk maker and you are tuning now the fourth hole here, so there are some special tools with the hooks like that, like a sticks, metal sticks with like a sharp hook, and you put this sharp hook into the duduk, maybe from this end or from that end, or maybe even from the like hole itself. So makers usually keep those tools uh, as a top secret, so they don't let anybody take pictures of them, because it's like personally developed tools, know-how. So every maker has such tools, so nobody knows what they do. To tune the fourth hole, he goes actually underneath the fifth hole here. So he comes from here. And if you take a look underneath the fifth hole, yeah, you will see that if you are looking like from this direction, from the tail towards the throat of the duduk, you will see that underneath the fifth hole there is almost no material comparing to other holes. And the same situation you will see under the eighth hole. So if you look from here, from the end, from the tail, you will see it's under the first one, like much less material underneath the upper wooden wall than underneath the rest of the holes. Yeah, this is because the maker was tuning the fourth hole coming inside from here, or I mean like underneath the fifth hole, and he removed quite a lot of material here, like the wall here is really literally very thin, very thin. And you know what is the risk of having a thin wall? The risk is that maybe depending on the quality of the material, on the micro defects which could be in the material inside, and all kind of hidden tensions. After a while of using this duduk, this risky area could just crack. Okay, if you are all the time like in the same climate, maybe the risk is less that this area, like weaker area, would crack. But mosquitoes are here, like so many. But if you move like myself from one climate to another, from heat to like frost and stuff like that, from flatland to mountains, from like wet to dry, something could happen to the instrument. So for example, it never happened to my duduks like that, but like it a couple of times happened to my bansuri flutes, to the bamboo Indian flutes. So coming from the flatland of India to the Himalayas, starting to play in the morning time, you know, when it's still quite cold, quite cool. And after playing half an hour, 1 hour, you know, your breath is warm and the air is still cold. I just got a couple of cracks off on two of my bansuri flutes. The same could happen to the duduk, especially if the wooden wall, like here, is thin. And this is also the answer, guys, why this playing hole, the fourth one, is not sharper than it is needed for the Western scale. Because if more of the material would be removed from underneath this hole, this wall will become even more thin than it is now. And then the risk of cracking is very high. I know some guys are retuning the Armenian tuning of the duduk, so saying like, okay, there is no risk, nothing is here, or almost just avoiding saying anything about any risks. They just take money and then retune the duduk up to the Western scale. But then it is, you know, it could be just risky that this area would crack, and we don't want this. That's why duduk makers follow this rule to not make this note, the C sharp on A duduk, to not make it sharper, you know, to keep it a little bit flat. But Armenian duduk students, they never ask these kind of questions. They just accept it from the very beginning. They go to the college, or I don't know when they start playing duduk, maybe at 5 years old. Nobody just asks this kind of questions. Why it is in Armenian tuning and not in the Western. They just accept it. Okay, on this note I have to squeeze my lips, and that's it. And you know, you just practice, and after 1-2 years you never ask this question. It's like goes automatically, and you even don't notice. It's just your lips are doing this mechanically. It's not a big deal. It's only normally for beginners from the West who just wonder why it is like that, not being able to accept it. Just accept it, you know. If we are talking about this playing hole, because here underneath the second one, there is still much more material than underneath the eighth holes or the fifth hole. It's much more. You can see that the material was removed from here, but not that much. So the wooden wall is quite thick here. So probably they could still do it. But it is not about this hole actually, guys. You know, because the next one from this one, so where you have to make some changes, is actually this one on the back. You know, this one is between those first ones. You know, it's here, and the wall here is also very thick, I would say. But if you start changing this one, you know, it will be not comfortable at all to play the G note on the A duduk, or traditionally speaking the B flat note. So now we are opening half of the hole, and we are getting the comfortable position of the G note on A duduk. But if you change the tuning of this one, you know, on the back, then you will have to open it just some micromillimeters, you know, here, and this is not comfortable. You will be made to make quite a lot of mistakes while playing the duduk. So because it's not comfortable anymore to open it for like a half, but it will be like just so little that it will be not comfortable to play. I'm telling you, because I already saw one maker in Armenia who is kind of orienting himself towards the Western market, and not Armenian market at all, just selling to the West, and people from the West, they requested to have in a Western scale. But then to play this hole, the thumb one, is just so uncomfortable that I did not like it at all. I liked, honestly speaking, I liked if you don't need to squeeze your lips here on this one, but I didn't like at all what happened to that one. You know, everything has its cost in life, and also in the duduk tuning as well. So this movement of our lips, the squeezing movement on some notes, is in this context is legitimate. So we have to learn how to squeeze our lips and how much in some particular areas. And this legitimate movement of our lips, the squeezing movement, we sort of can transpose to a case also which is not according to the traditional rules of how to learn how to play Armenian duduk. So nobody will tell you this because it's kind of cheating. It's out of it's against the rules. It's not correct, academically speaking. But for some exceptional cases, I realized that this squeezing movement could be a replacement for the cases, for some crucial cases where you cannot afford yourself to make a mistake while playing the half tones. And some of us, and especially in the beginning, we cannot play some of the half tones correctly. So the fingers technique is not skilled enough to open the hole in the correct way. Mostly we are, especially I'm showing this one because for a long time it was a big problem for me to open this one in the correct way, not too sharp, because we are tending to open the half tones too sharp, and then everyone who has hearing is just like, oh come on, I cannot listen to that, especially if you're playing before people or you are recording in the studio. For some responsible and crucial moments, and those moments you decide for yourself. But if your fingers technique in terms of playing the half tones is not good enough, sometimes you can cheat a little bit and use your lip squeezing technique just to reach the half tone and to be in tune in this way. It's not legal in playing Armenian duduk, so if you are a very correct player, it's a disclaimer for you, don't watch it, don't remember this. But for me, exceptionally, in some exceptional cases, when like playing before people, and I know, for example, playing this composition like a scale of Segya, for example, with this note, or playing the A minor starting from 6 fingers coming up to this hole, it was always a problem, and sometimes I just cheated, you know. Or in the recording studio, if you are not a professional and you have already spoiled so many recording takes and now you have to be in tune, everybody in the studio is tired because of you, because you are spoiling the takes, you don't want to come tomorrow to do the same thing, you just can cheat sometimes a little bit, you know. Don't make it into a rule, don't make it automatic, but just if you need to play 1 or 2 or 3 notes like that, it's not a big deal, I think. And what I mean by this is that you, for example, playing Segya, playing this half tone here, so on the duduk in A, this is a note of F. So if you come from E, if you come from D, then it comes E, and then F is half one. It's not completely a half, it's just a little bit actually opening, and then F sharp. But this one is a problem for many. You can just squeeze your lips on this spot and you can reach very easily this F note without opening here. Yes, then you will have some disadvantages here. It's not only a good thing. First of all, as I told you, don't get used to this. So just practice to play correctly, of course, with the finger here, because if you play the note in a correct way, so opening with the finger here, the note will be more full, you know, more juicy, and you will be able still to make the ornaments here. But if you do from here, you know, coming to the note of F and squeezing your lips here without opening, the note of course will become flatter, not flatter like in the musical scale, but flatter in terms of fullness of sound. It just becomes quite narrow. This is Segya starting from C sharp. So this is the half of the scale, let's say, and this one could be problematic. You can use the squeezing movement like that. You see, I just made this squeezing movement, and if your lip squeezing technique is good, much better than the fingers technique, sometimes you can just save the situation and do like that. Okay, I'm just sacrificing the fullness of the sound, but I will be in tune, and sometimes this is very important. You can also try to do it on some other half tones, but the most difficult one is this one, and the most easy one to cheat also is this one. So for example, you can just try to understand what I mean. You can do it also here from F sharp to G. So it's very easy. I just used my lips instead of moving this finger, but this finger is not a problem for anyone. As far as I know, it's very simple finger to operate. Just for you to understand what I meant. Basically what I'm doing, I'm squeezing my lips on the half tone, and then I'm relaxing my lips when it comes to the full tone. And also remember that while squeezing your lips, you need to more use the upper lip than the lower lip. So because when we make it only with the lifting of the lower lip, like to making like this, the sound becomes very flat. And as you remember, the squeezing motion is different. It's not the bringing the lower lip up, but kind of bringing more the upper lip down. So kind of not only the lower lip, which works automatically anyway, it's more your attention is on the upper lip, which goes down, making like this, and then the lower lip automatically goes also together with the upper lip. So here it is the same. Don't do it only with this lip, otherwise the sound will be very much narrow and flat. Do like this. You see, I'm working like all muscles work together. Again, see for yourself that you get not used to this cheating technique, and if you are playing the whole composition, let's say in Segya, and you have to play this note many times, don't use this technique because it will make you confused. In on some notes you will be doing the traditional opening of the hole, and on some notes squeezing your lips. Don't do that. It's just only really exceptional. Make use of it, but don't let it confuse you. Enjoy your practice. That was Karuna. See you again. Bye.